welcome to Brown in the City. This is Shantae.
And this is Letitia. And today our topic is going to be, should we check out children's phones or social media? Privacy versus protection. What do you think?
Do you think you're violating your child by checking their social media, their book bags, their phone? Or do you think it's the right thing to do?
So me personally, I think it's the right thing to do. Especially in the days that we live in now, there's so much going on, so much peer pressures, things that our kids see on social media that they feel like is the right thing to do because they see it so much that you have to check. There's a lot of peer pressure, so you got to check. That's the appropriate thing to do right now. And I do feel like you should communicate with your children as well. Even if, it's how was your day? Or who did you hang out with today? Who is your friends? Because sometimes you need to know all that stuff because sometimes you never know. You might have to go to those people when something's wrong. Like, okay, like this is your friend. Let me go and see if there's something that they know that I don't know. But yeah, I think you need to definitely check your children's social media and phones.
I definitely think it's, especially nowadays, safety. It's so much that's going on in the city, in the world. You have to have your hands on your child. You need to know what your child is into, what they're doing at all times. Now, if they reach a certain age, they're, college kids now. I mean, still, the communication, you check in with your children, ask questions. It may be some things that you may not want to hear, but at the end of the day, you're leading them down the right direction, and you're the only one that can lead them there, besides them leaning on their peers, their friends, whoever, that's outside of you. So, I totally agree. Like, you should be, in tune with your children, making sure that, hey, everything's cool. The text messaging, social media is something else because, like, teacher said, it's a lot of peer pressure, which is really unfortunate, but you have to be that parent that stands by your children, let them know, hey, listen, it's okay to be you.
And even with the bullying topic, like, I feel like a lot of kids are being bullied, and you won't know because they won't tell you it's an embarrassment to them sometimes. So sometimes you got to go in and check to see what's going on because, your child could be bullied. They could be the bully.
Yeah.
So sometimes you want to check to see what's going on because you don't want your child to end up in jail or hurt or whatever the case. You just gotta check it.
Yeah.
Very, very crucial. You should be checking your kids' phones.
Yeah, absolutely. What do you do when you notice your child acting differently? Do you think it's a phase or do you think it's something deeper going on that makes you want to check their social media?
Well, me personally, I think that you should. If they're out of character, like if something's going on different from what their usual behavior is, I would definitely check their phones. I would check it for cyberbullying because a lot of times someone can be being bullied. I would also check it for sexting, especially if they're too young and they're talking about something they're not supposed to be talking about. And I mean, it could also be predators. It could be a grown man talking to your child or a grown woman talking to your child. So definitely.
But even with that, and I totally agree, it's just, that's when it's time to sit down and talk to your child about anything. Like I was saying before, communication is the key. Let them know, hey, it's okay that you can open up to me, come to me and talk to me, and you can tell me about any and everything, so yeah, that's definitely important to be really into that, so yeah.
And obviously you want them to feel like they have privacy because you don't, that's all of us, we want our privacy, but sometimes being a parent, you have to go there. You have to just make sure that everything is okay with your child. So yeah, I totally agree with doing that.
Yeah.
So I would say, get to know your friends. Get to know your children's friends because a lot of times birds of a feather flock together. And if their friends have a good head on their shoulders, that's a good sign. Now, I'm not saying that they can't be doing anything, but a lot of times their friends is a big giveaway on what they got going on. So I would say get to know their friends. Ask questions like, who did you hang out with today? What y'all do today? what y'all into, what y'all doing together. And, you know, a lot of times just asking simple questions can give you a lot of answers without having to snoop, you know, right away. You know, sometimes if they're more secretive, you might want to, you know, just check. But if you communicate, just ask simple questions, it's easier. Just try to, you know, see what they say and how they answer certain questions, and just make them feel comfortable knowing that they can communicate with you when they do have to come to you and tell you something that they're uncomfortable with. But yeah, I would just say get to know their friends, who they're hanging out with. That's a big factor, and, you know, determining what they're doing.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, they may feel embarrassed, you know, like you're overbearing, an overbearing parent, but at the end of the day, we have to make sure that our children are okay, and other children that's hanging around our children, making sure that they okay. You know, so yeah, it's very important to literally play your part in being involved what your children are doing. You know, so yeah, reach out to the parents, you know, create your own little, you know, group chat, you know.
Yep.
I would say definitely start expectations early about online use, privacy use when it comes to your children. You know, start off early, you know, because young children at the age of toddler age start walking around with little iPads and things like that. So, you know, if you're willing to let your child, you know, start at an early age with iPads and cell phones and things like that, I just think it's very important that you sit down and talk to your children about social media.
And they definitely need the parental controls. Like, they need to not be on the phone all night long. It needs to be a limit on how much use they have. Like, they should not be on the phone till midnight.
Yeah.
Not 10 o'clock. Is a mess. And it should be some kind of controls with what kind of apps they download, what they're looking at. Like, you should have some kind of access or like some kind of restriction on what they're looking at, because it's, I mean, right now, the way TV is set up and the way social media is set up, they don't care about kids right now.
Yeah.
So they don't care what they're doing or what they're showing. So you gotta kind of like teach your kid, like, okay, or just let them know, do not go there. I don't want to see this. And if you see it, restrict it.
Yeah, and I would say start off in moderation. I feel like screen time should not be hours long. Cut it up throughout the day. Like, listen, it's so many things. Look, back in the day, we didn't have no cell phones. We were in the books. Outside playing.
With our friends.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Okay, so, you know, I understand, you know, we're in the day of time when everything is just so, like, hands reachable, you know, to phones and iPads and video games and things like that. But I would say do it in increments. You know, do it in increments. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's so important right now because our children are exposed to so much right now.
Yeah.
And it's really sad, but I mean, it just seems like they don't care. They don't care about our children, so you just have to start off at home.
Yeah.
Make sure that they're...
It's from the root of... It comes
everything,
from the home.
Most things.
It comes from the home, whether it's one parent, two parent household, guardianship, whoever, grandparents.
Yes.
It starts from the home itself.
Yeah.
You have to be aware of what's going on with your children. You have to be aware. You have to be involved. And I think when you do those things, that minimize a lot of things.
Definitely does. It do.
You know?
It definitely does. It do. And, you know, you shouldn't leave it up to anyone else to raise your child. We can't let the outside world raise our kids. They have to start at home. So we can't expect these outside influences to raise our children, because it'll steer them wrong. They will go in the wrong direction. So as a parent, please just do what you're supposed to do. Communicate with your children, and like I said, just talk to them. And believe it or not, you'll get way more answers talking to them. But again, if you need to check their phones, and I feel like you need to in these days, you do, because of social media and the things that they are exposed to, do that. But please, just raise our children.
Yeah, it's gonna, like I said, it's going to be things that you're going to be dreading to hear when they sit and talk to you about it. But you know that you have their best interests than someone outside of you.
Exactly.
So, yeah, you have to be there, you know, for your kids. It's so important. It's so important, you know. Like I said, a lot of things is happening, you know, in the city, in the world, people's lives, you know. It's just, it's so unfortunate, and it really, it's really sad. It's really sad. So, yeah, hold on to your babies, you know, your children, you know, and just let them know, like, hey, you're the one that's guiding them and doing what's best for them. And like I said, when they get older, sometimes
they'll appreciate it.
Yeah, they will.
Listen, they all of this that you're doing, listen, they will learn from it, and they will teach their kids the same thing.
Yeah.
So, you know, it might seem hard. Sometimes we, as parents, we don't want to do certain things to our children because we want, sometimes we have this friend factor, like if they want to be our friends, but we can't be their friend.
Yeah.
You know, we have to be their parents and have to teach them right from wrong and, you know,
listen,
so forth.
You are their friend when you making sure that they're doing the right thing.
Yeah.
That's the friendship.
Yeah.
That's the friendship.
So,
you know,
yes. So checking their phones, a must. Yes, you
book
should.
bag check.
Yes. Checking their phones, checking their social media for sure. There are predators, okay?
Yeah.
There are grown men watching little girls.
Yeah.
And there are, and I hate
listen,
to,
women too.
That's what I'm saying.
Women too.
That's what I'm
watching
saying.
Little boys,
So,
you know,
So yes, I think it's very appropriate to check your kids' phones and their social media.
Yeah. Ultimately, going through a child's social media or a book bag isn't just about uncovering secrets. It's more about having the tools, you know, for them to say what's going on within their young lives. You know, so it's imperative that you stick to your plan and do what you need to do necessary to make sure that your child is safe.
And I would say checking their social media isn't about control, it's about connection.
Yeah.
You just want to stay connected to your kids and just make sure they're doing the right thing and just make sure they're around good influences. You don't want to just be absent and you know, negative things happen around them. Just stay present. Make sure you know what's going on in your child's life and everything will be fine. So just do what you got to do as a parent.
The thing is, it takes a village to raise. You know, it takes a village to raise your children. And when everybody's on the same page, you know, knowing what your children or children, everyone else's children that's surrounding your children, knowing what they're doing, it's gonna work. You know, things will start working, you know, in the right direction. And that's definitely where you will want, you know, to be, you know, so, yeah.
It takes a village to raise a child.
Yeah.
So a lot of times we need their help.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you guys for joining us once again. What is this, our 8th episode? Or is it the 9th? I don't know.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know. We moving. But
Yeah.
thank you so much for joining us. And when you get a chance, can you go to our Instagram page at Brown in the City Podcast and join our page, follow.
Yeah. And our YouTube channel, Brown in the City.
Thank you and have a good night.
Good night.